A lot of people in today's generation like to order Uber Eats and take out prepared meals, and that money tends to add up.
You're not kidding. I can't get over it. One of my grandchildren asked me to, I took her out last week. We went to a restaurant. She ordered French toast. By the time it came, she had eaten up all the free bread that was in the basket, and there was no more room in her little girl to finish the French toast. So we took it home. I looked at the bill and I nearly passed out. There was a milkshake for 12 something, and it all added up to $43. Need I tell you, we could all make French toast for much, much less than that. But what bothers me is all these fancy houses with the new gorgeous kitchens that you walk your feet off a mile to get from the fridge to the sink, which I would never design a kitchen that way. But funny, I come in there and it's sterile. There's nothing on the counter. Like no one eats there, no one lives there. And in many cases, after the kitchen is done, everyone eats out. So what do they do when you eat out? I have friends we talk about, they say they come home, they're sick after they come home because they take a wonderful piece of meat and they just take every sauce you could think of, a little here, a little there. Sauces are not good and they don't agree with most people. And so that's something we do very rarely. If you ask me about a cafe or restaurant on Central Avenue where we live, I can't recommend them, but I've never been to them. But my husband knows that he's been. He goes every night to the restaurant in my kitchen. And he says, you have never made a bad meal. And I ask him, you know what this would cost you in the restaurant, what I'm giving you now? So we kibitz about that. So you know what? My kitchen is not sterile. I have drain boards on the counter, one milchik, one fleishik. My kitchen is always a mess because when I come home from shopping in the middle of the day, I make everything fresh. So I said, oh my goodness, string beans, I better stop peeling them for supper. So I might peel string beans at 3 o'clock and have them ready for supper. Okay, so use your kitchens. Hi, this is Grandma Dina coming to you again. I've missed you all. It's been a long time. But I would like to impart some more ideas and tips that I have in these inflationary times. Obviously, I'm not young. I've been through a lifetime. Some of them you may not recognize or relate to, but I'm trying my best to tell you what I have learned. And maybe as I've learned from my past podcasts, people have come to me and were appreciative and got some good ideas. I saved some people money. And when I was ambivalent about continuing, that's what gave me the incentive to continue because we all have to use the tools we're given by HaKadosh Baruch Hu and use them in a way to help others. And somehow Hashem sent me this message. And in this small way, if I can help someone, I say thank you, Hashem, for another normal, healthy day, and I've done another mitzvah.
Hello and welcome to the Jewish Grandma Podcast. We're here with the one, the only Grandma Dina to talk about life lessons, money lessons, everything you need to know, or a lot of the things you need to know to better your situation and your life. I'm excited. Are you excited, Grandma Dina?
Of course.
Let's go.
My husband, we're old fashioned. We walk up the street and we see a mother and she's walking with her daughter, a teenager, and each of them is on their own phone. Why not say, look, Ma, we have that tree in our backyard. Or can't we plant those flowers in our front yard? I mean, there's so much to say to one another. We're missing out on each other. The most important thing in life is relationships.
If you were building a house now, what would you keep in mind?
Oh, I don't know. I would really have to think about it, but I'd make it simple because I still feel there's extra money being spent. For example, building a house, I'm not, but I needed a faucet. I had a leak in my kitchen sink. It's the kind of leak that years ago we had washers. They cost a nickel a piece. They were little rubbers. You unscrewed the faucet, you put the washer in, you fixed your leak. Now I asked the plumber who's charging $150 just to come to the house, and he says to me, well, it's the cartridge in the faucet. It's not, there's no washers anymore. Why not? So I have to go out and buy a whole new faucet because I have a little leak. And it just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, I finally find a store that has a showroom. This is yesterday. And I go in and I say, I'd like a faucet. I don't care if it's old fashioned. I don't know even know what new fashion is. Just give me a cheap faucet that works, that's functional, that makes sense. Meanwhile, she goes to the back and I'm eyeing all the faucets and I pick one out that's very similar to the one I have. I said, you know what? I'd like this one. She says, oh, that's $800. I said, what? For the faucet? Are you kidding? I could buy a house for that.
You bought a cottage in Pennsylvania
Right, we did.
30 something years ago. What did that cost?
It was 42,000.
42,000. Wow. You can't buy much with 42,000. Maybe a faucet.
Nothing. A faucet, right. If a faucet is 800, what is a bathroom? That's all you could afford is a bathroom, maybe.
And that's what happens when people do construction. They don't realize the costs of things, then everything adds up, and they're looking at tens of thousands of dollars.
And more than they expected in the first. That always happens no matter what. Okay. Even just sitting in this park, say hello to someone who's alone. My husband, he's a very nice, quiet man, but he's friendly to everyone. Wherever he goes, he'll say hello to strangers. I learned that from him. You don't think that it just came to me. You live with a person and you gel.
People sometimes think an older person wants to be left alone. You're saying that's not true.
Oh, no, absolutely. They're very lonely.
Mm.
And the thing I scared of most when I'm old is becoming irrelevant. So sometimes for the fun of it, when I meet with my younger grandchildren and I know we're going to be together on Yontif Shabbos, I put on 2 different earrings. And I want to see who's going to notice that I'm even wearing earrings or that they're different. So we kibitz about it. And at the end, I say, nobody bothered to say that I'm wearing 2. And one of them said, I noticed, but I didn't want to embarrass you. I thought maybe you made a mistake. But that's my way of saying, please, I don't want to become irrelevant. That's the secret, I think, our secret. Even if you waste as much as $1. My husband always said, even if there's a penny on the floor, pick it up. And you know, one day in my business, I hired a sales lady who was impoverished. And she used to tell me that on her way to my work, to the store I owned, she used to pick up pennies. And they added up. Does that sound silly? But if you think about it, how about those piggy banks that everyone has or those jars? They fill up fast. And when you add it up, it adds up.
So, for those listening that are married or getting married, thinking to your own marriage, what would apply to almost everyone in terms of having a happy marriage?
In my case, I can only speak from my own experience. I look back and I see mistakes I made, too many, and making relationships with your sister-in-law's brother, the new family, it's a hard thing to work on. They're strangers. But in the end, after many years, that's your family. And I have many regrets that I didn't patch things up or that I made the mistake in not working hard enough on, because I think relationships are the most important thing in life. And though difficult, mother in law, father in law, difficult relationship, mother in law, daughter in law, have regrets. Try not to cause yourself to have too many. We all have regrets. Life is not perfect and we're not perfect. But that's the one thing I would stress very much. And living near your own siblings and keeping touch with them. I think it's a big bracha. A lot of Lakewood people are buying houses, sisters near each other. But I cherish that thought when I hear about it. And I'm happy for them because it makes life so much richer. Children have no values system today about money. And I think by the time we were age 6, 7, 8, we understood at that time most people didn't have money, that there was a value to it. You just didn't throw things away. You tried to keep them, to repair them, to do with your money the most of what you could get out of it. And today, that's not even a thought that a child has. I think until they get a job of their own. It's always the parents that are going to give me this and give me that. I hear it on the street all the time. I want, give me. I mean, I don't remember saying that when I was a kid. Okay, we're going back 100 years, so let's not go to that.
a short break from the Jewish Grandma podcast to share a message with an update from Israel, who just put out a report. The country put out a report that since October 7th, there are 764 orphans and 171 widows from the war. And Colel Chabad, an organization in Israel, the longest lasting, they've been around since the 1700s. They're working with a special group inside their organization to help these families. So you have the orphans and the widows that need support, and they're working with them to help them have a normal upbringing. So monthly meetups, tuitions have to be paid for, and the families don't have the money, camp scholarships, bar and bat mitzvahs. They said this year they're going to be making over 100 weddings for these families, mental health checkups, high school, college, all these costs add up. And our goal is to try to help support. We're going to put a link in the show notes where people can click and make a donation. But when you hear something like that, what comes to mind?
What the Torah says that we must always remember to take care of the Yasam and the Almana and Ager Agar B'Socham. In other words, the orphan, the widowed, and even the stranger that lives among us. And it's said so many times in the Torah, and we hear it so often that sometimes it loses its meaning. But now, with what's happened in Israel, it's real and it's there and it's for the touching and it's for the seeing. And those of us who can must support. We must help them because there never will be a normality in their lives anymore. There's no father and no husband, and there's so many problems to face even when one has normal families which are intact. And now they need help from all sides. And the most basic that we could do, not all of us can be there to hug and kiss them, to give them love or kind words, but the basic bottom line that we here in the States and elsewhere could do is raise money to help those who are there to do that, to give of their time. It's the chain that never is broken. It's our unbroken chain with each other. And we have to be very active this time. None of us, as I said, even us old ladies, should not sit idle. We must help, and in the way that we can, find the way. And I know I once said to someone, just give me a list of the wealthy people in my neighborhood, and I'll take it from there. I've knocked on doors cold. I'll do it again. That I can't do it now. It's physically not. I'm not even steady in my walking as I used to be. But as I said, so we have the power of speech and try to raise money that way. But we must. And there's so much money now, thank God, in the Jewish community. We have to tap it. And everyone wants to, but sometimes we're lazy to find out where do we give. When I hear of it, I'll give it. So we have to be the instruments, and people will come, and you'll see. You will succeed, especially now. I go to a bakery. This is what I do. I know I'm going to get flack from my family for telling you this,
And your fans?
and my fans. The challah. Challah has become very expensive. I know how to make challah, but I don't make it. I have problems with kneading. I usually knead the challah with my hands. I never used a KitchenAid. And my hands are hurting now, so I can't make it. So I buy it. So it's $6, $7 a challah. Now I come to the local bakery in town here, and on Sunday morning the challah's half price, and it's the same challah they sold on Thursday, half price, good. I put it in the freezer. Before Shabbos, I warm it up. You'd never know the difference. You'd think I baked it an hour before. A few weeks ago, I come, and a young man is piling up the same challah. I'm buying one. He's buying at least 20. I do not exaggerate. The pile was high in bagfuls. And I'm saying to him, what are you doing with this? You having a simcha? No, he says, I buy it every Sunday. It's much cheaper. Put it in the freezer, and it's wonderful. Okay, good. See? So it's not such an old fashioned idea. Somebody new took on to it. Another thing, up in the cottage where we are in the summer, I don't have a dryer. I just have a washing machine. And my friends always kibitz me, "What's wrong with you? When are you going to get into the modern?" I hang up my clothes on a line in the sun on a sunny day because I love the smell of the sun on the clothes and the towels. And I also enjoy just standing in the sun and doing something creative. To me, hanging laundry is creative. I learned also because I don't have a dryer, the towels come out sort of rough. So you put in 2 tablespoons of baking soda in the washing machine and the towels will come out soft, and that goes for your clothes as well. So these are little things that if you get them at a young age, you'll remember them. Cooking. Girls should know how to cook, and many of them do because they come from large families. They help out their mothers, and that's good. But I have my own daughters who neither of them knew how to cook when they got married. So, cooking, if you take a cookbook and you follow it exactly, and many of them have pictures so you know what it's supposed to look like afterwards. The recipe comes out, you like it or you don't, you follow the next one if you don't like it. So, actually, cooking, if they were classes for girls, they would learn all the tips. How much oil do you put in for a scrambled egg? Do you need oil at all if it's a Teflon pan? These are all things that we do almost every day. If you're making your husband breakfast, the good wives, you'd make him an egg almost every day. So it's not something once in a while.
How many years have you been married?
We don't like to count numbers. We're very,
More than 10 years? 20?
yeah, but
More than 50?
we're aiming for more. Please God, and we thank Hashem for it. We don't know why. We ask that why we have the schus. Whatever it is, I'd like to bequeath it to my children. That I think chesed is important.
What would be your advice to people who are nearing retirement? Right, you've spoken about the power of one person. Thinking back to when you closed your business, moved on, what would be your advice to those advancing in their years to get the most out of the golden years?
To get up in the morning and not give in to your aches and pains, because we all have them as we get older. And we're busy going to doctors. And one of my friends, Kibitz, at age 60, she said, "Wait till you retire, you'll see." I said, "Retire? I don't want to retire. I'll have nothing to do." She, "Oh, yes, you will. You're going to spend part of your days going to the doctor and another part of your days looking for the things you can't find and blaming your husband that he doesn't know where your keys are to the car." And we were kibitzing about that. But the truth is, you have to find what gives you life inside of you. Everyone is made whole, complete, and good by different things. For me, it's to help somebody else. And so I continued what we had in our store in Borough Park. I continued that chesed when we moved here also. And I found families that were needy, and I hope that I'm helping them in the little way I can. They're helping me. The reward is they're giving me because I feel good afterwards that I've done something worthwhile with my day. I just get frustrated sometimes and I sing this little ditty. What's the matter with kids today? Why can't they be like we were, perfect in every way? All right, so we're trying to polish our gems. That's what I'm hoping to do here. You're all gems to me, and I hope I've polished you in just a little bit of a way, and I'm happy for that.
And we might just have a sudden appearance from Grandma Dina's friends. Hey, how are you?
Thank you so much, Dina, for those nice words. And for whoever's listening in, listen to Dina.
You're saying she has good advice?
Dina has very good advice. We've been taking her advice for years.
And we've been doing fine.
And this is how we turned out, but it's still good advice.
What is she giving advice on? Life, money?
She's
health?
like, just the life experiences that she's had regarding our building, and it always turns out to be emes, the truth.
So you're giving her 5 stars.
I give her 5 stars plus. If you can, I recommend you subscribe to Dina's podcast.
Everyone wave goodbye. Bye-bye.
Living L'chaim.